The night was cold, the city lights blinking below like scattered fireflies. From the roof of the 20-story building, the world looked distant, uncaring. Wind whipped across the edge, carrying with it the shaky breaths of a young girl standing barefoot, her toes curled over the ledge. Her hand clutched her stomach, swollen with life, but her eyes were empty, hollow like a broken promise. She was ready to let go. And that's when he saw her. A man in his mid-30s, dressed in a wrinkled suit, tie loosened, his face tired, weighed down by sleepless nights and failures that piled higher than the skyscrapers around him. His name was Arjun Malhotra, once celebrated as one of the most promising young CEOs in the city. But tonight, he wasn't a CEO, he wasn't a leader. He was just a man climbing to the roof because he, too, thought he'd had enough. Two broken souls met at the edge. "Don't jump," he whispered hoarsely. His voice cracked, not from authority, but from shared pain. The girl turned startled. Tears streaked her cheeks. "Why do you care?" she asked, her voice trembling. "You don't even know me?" Arjun stepped closer, slowly, carefully, as if approaching a fragile bird. "Because I was about to do the same thing?" he said. "But if you go, maybe I'll follow." And maybe neither of us should. The girl froze. For the first time that night, someone wasn't trying to stop her with lectures or pity. This stranger wasn't above her. He was beside her. He knew the darkness she felt. And that was the beginning of a story that would change both their lives. Her name was Mira. She was only 21, a college dropout who once dreamed of becoming a teacher. But life had been cruel. She had fallen in love with a man who promised her the world, only to vanish the moment he learned she was pregnant. Cast out by her family broke, and living in a small rented room, she had endured months of whispers, shame, and hunger. The baby in her womb was the only reason she kept moving, but tonight, even that reason felt like a burden too heavy to carry. Arjun listened, his heart aching as Mira poured her soul out. And though he didn't show it, her story mirrored his own failures. Just 5 years ago, he was the golden boy of business, a startup founder who raised millions, appeared in magazines, and gave speeches about success. But success was a slippery rope. Investors grew impatient. His company bled money. His closest friends turned competitors. And when the recession hit, everything collapsed. Overnight, he went from being called visionary to failure. Employees lost jobs. Lawsuits piled up, and his family walked away. He had come to the roof to end the noise, the shame, the feeling of being utterly alone. But now, staring at this young woman, tears on her face, unborn child in her belly, he realized, maybe they weren't alone. Maybe broken people could hold each other together. That night, he didn't let her go. He pulled her down from the edge, both of them collapsing onto the cold rooftop floor, crying like children who finally found someone who understood. The days that followed weren't easy. Arjun took Mira to a small cafe, bought her a warm meal, and listened. For the first time in months, she ate without guilt, without fear. He offered her a spare room in his rundown apartment. She hesitated. Trust didn't come easily, but hunger and exhaustion left her no choice. In return, Mira became his silent anchor. She didn't judge him for his failures. She didn't care about the headlines that mocked him. Instead, she cooked simple meals, shared small smiles, and reminded him that life still had moments worth noticing. Together, they faced challenges. Arjun struggled with creditors knocking on his door, lawyers chasing unpaid dues. Mira battled the physical pain of pregnancy, the stares of neighbors, the memories of betrayal. Some nights they sat in silence, too broken to talk. Other nights they shared stories of who they once were and who they hoped to be. It wasn't love. Not yet. It was something deeper. It was survival, stitched together by two wounded hearts. But life wasn't done testing them. One morning, Mira collapsed. The pregnancy complications were severe, and the doctor said she needed better care neither of them could afford. Arjun's chest tightened as he sat outside the hospital ward, staring at the bills. It felt like déjà vu, another failure knocking him down. But then he remembered that night on the roof. The way Mira looked at him when he said, "Don't jump." The way she chose to live because he asked her to. This time, he couldn't give up. He picked up his phone, reached out to old contacts, swallowed his pride, and begged for work. He took small consulting gigs, worked late into the night, and even drove cabs on weekends. Every rupee he earned went to Mira's care. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't CEO work, but it was honest and it was enough. Slowly, Mira's health stabilized. When the day finally came, Arjun was by her side as she gave birth to a baby girl. The moment he heard the newborn's cry, something inside him cracked open. Hope. A second chance. They named her Asha, meaning hope. Holding that baby, Mira wept. I thought she'd never see this world, she whispered. Arjun looked at her, his eyes shining. She's here because you chose to stay, because we both did. The baby became their shared light. Every smile, every tiny hand clutching their fingers reminded them that life still had beauty, even after destruction. Arjun rebuilt slowly. With renewed purpose, he launched a smaller startup, this time focused not on flashy growth, but on creating jobs for struggling single mothers. He hired women like Mira, women who had been abandoned, shamed, or ignored, and the company grew, not because of profit-hungry investors, but because it was built on compassion. Mira, too, found her strength again. She enrolled in night classes, working toward her dream of becoming a teacher. She no longer saw herself as just a victim of betrayal, but as a mother, a fighter, and a woman with purpose. Years later, people would look at Arjun Malhotra and call him a successful CEO again. But this time, he knew success wasn't in headlines or bank balances. Success was in the lives saved, in the hope restored, in the fact that one night on a rooftop, he didn't just save someone, he was saved too. And Mira. She became not just a teacher, but an advocate for young mothers, telling her story so that no girl would ever feel as alone as she once did. Their lives intertwined not by fate but by choice. The choice to stay, to fight, to live. And so, if you've listened to this story till the end, remember this. No matter how heavy the burden, no matter how dark the night, there is always someone, somewhere who understands. Sometimes, hope comes from the most unexpected places. Sometimes, saving someone else is the very thing that saves you. So if you're ever standing at your own edge, remember Arjun and Mira. Remember that tomorrow can still surprise you.